I lived in the Netherlands for 14 months. 13 of those months were spent in the south of the Netherlands, in Brabant to be specific. And the last month that I spent in the Netherlands was spent in Gelderland, in the east of the Netherlands, which would have put me roughly 90 to 100 kilometers from the German border. And yet, in spite of that proximity and the curiosity, I never got the chance to actually visit. And honestly, looking back on it, it's one of my biggest regrets about my time in the Netherlands, was that I never got the chance to visit a country that was literally right there the whole entire time. And although it's a little too late for me to do that, at least for the time being, because I'm a 14-hour flight away from Germany, I can do the next best thing, which is live vicariously through other Americans who are experiencing German culture shock for the first time. Bearing that in mind, in this video, I will be reacting to Americans experiencing culture shock in Germany. Without further ado, let's get into this first video.
Can I get 2 beers? 2. Yeah. Do you need to see my ID?
No.
Oh.
Germany, 16.
16 years old.
Yes, so I don't.
I did not know that. I did not know that the drinking age is 16. I want to say in the Netherlands it might be 18, if I'm not mistaken. By the way, just full disclaimer, I don't drink alcohol. So if you ask me anything pertaining to alcohol laws, I know absolutely nothing. Never even had a sip of it, and I'm 25. But I know in the US it's 21. That is the minimum drinking age, legally speaking. In the Netherlands, I think it's 18. But it's 16 in Germany? That's insane.
Wow.
I think you are 16, huh?
Thank you. Here, you can keep a tip. 2 for you. Sorry about that. Dude, I still can't believe they didn't ID me.
Back in Germany.
Germany's crazy.
So, side note, but this little fair festival situation, amusement park that they have going on right here, that looks like a fun place to go. I do want to visit. I'm not getting on any of these rides though. Don't ever expect a video of me getting on any kind of roller coaster. Ever, 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 ever. But that's pretty interesting to me that the drinking age is 16. And honestly, my American mind, when I hear that, is a little skeptical, because I think, well, that's a little much for a 16-year-old to handle. It's a little much responsibility. But then I also have to consider the fact that, for starters, I believe the minimum driving age in order to get your driver's license in Germany is around 18 years old. So that should mitigate any sort of drinking and driving issue that you would see in a lot of the US, where it's the reverse. I mean, drinking alcohol, although it's something I myself would never do, not even casually, is still objectively less dangerous than driving a car, especially at 16 years old. So the fact that Americans can drive cars at 16, really 15 with a parent or guardian, is probably more insane, just objectively speaking. And a lot of American teenagers do die in car crashes, if they do die prematurely. It's usually in a car crash, if not some kind of gun violence situation, which that's a whole different discussion for a whole different day. But I think another benefit or justification for this is that if they have that exposure early on to drinking, then they can kind of get all of the excess out of their system by the time they're in their early 20s. They can do all the heavy partying and stuff from 16 to 20, maybe 21. And by the time they're 21, they're ready to leave that behind and just focus on being responsible adults. And on top of that, because they have the experience, they're less likely to overuse alcohol or to use it in an irresponsible manner or do irresponsible things in conjunction with their drinking. So I think that could be a very good thing, but it is still a little bit crazy for me to think about the fact that a 16-year-old can just go and get themselves alcohol. And on top of that, the fact that they don't ID you, they just go based on your physical appearance. I probably still would have gotten ID'd because at 16, I looked like a literal child. Still, I didn't really hit puberty until I was probably 17, 18. But they just have a lot more trust out there. In the US, they would probably ID me, honestly. And I clearly look like I'm above 21. At least I think I do. But they would probably still ID me because they play no games at all when it comes to alcohol. But let me know what you think about the minimum drinking age in the comments below. And if you're from a country outside of Germany or the US, let me know what the minimum drinking age is in your country. On to the next video.
You have someone doing it for you, but in Germany, you gotta race through that thing. They scan that. It's like an Olympic sport, I swear. And if you don't bag your goods in time, then the 5 people in line, they'll just sit there and look at you. And the guy who's doing the girl who's doing the scanning as well, once she's done, that's it. And then she just looks at you while you spend the next 10 minutes trying to put your stuff in. I would say that's a...
So I didn't know they do that in Germany as well. I kind of get the sense that that's just a European thing in general, that that's all of Europe, because everywhere I've been into in Europe, they do not bag your groceries for you. Now, as far as if I prefer having a bagger or not, I will say it is a little bit stressful, not necessarily just bagging my own groceries. That I'm fine with, but to his point, the speed at which they scan the stuff, I feel like they scan it so much quicker in European countries than they do in the US. They scan those items so fast. I'm talking about boop, 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 just pushing them over, damn near throwing the items at you. And you have to bag them so quickly, and you're trying to think in your mind of what needs to go at the bottom, what needs to go on top. You're trying to stack it correctly so you don't crush your bread or break any eggs or anything like that if you're buying eggs. That can be a little bit stressful. And then the fact that there's literally no buffer at all between them scanning your items and them scanning the next person's items. There's pretty much no buffer at all. They immediately get to it and they don't even try to separate them. That can be a little hectic at first, but they also have self-checkout. So, I mean, at Albert Heijn, I know they don't have Albert Heijn in Germany. At least I think they don't. They have it in the Netherlands, maybe Belgium, but I don't think they have it in Germany. But at Albert Heijn and Jumbo, they have this setup where you can scan the items as you go, as you grocery shop. You put them in the bag, and then you can scan the scanner at the counter or at the self-checkout. So that's what I always opted to do. And when you do that, there is no rush. You can go at your own pace. I don't know if they have that system in Germany. Let me know if they do or don't. I don't think they had it in Spain, so we just had to do it the old-fashioned way. But yeah, my way of getting around this is just using self-checkout. On to the next video.
Why does no one talk about this problem in Germany? Germans don't accept non-natives trying to learn German. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're at a restaurant, you want to practice your German that you've been working so hard on. But you decide, okay, I'm gonna order in German. The waiter comes, you start to order, mess up a little bit, and then the waiter just says, oh, let's just speak in English. Oh no, it's fine, it's totally fine, I can speak English, let's just speak in English. I feel like in any other country, if you were trying to learn the language or so obviously trying to practice, they would react completely differently.
That is not true. Dat klopt niet. Don't know if I said that correctly, but that is absolutely not true because I've heard that that is also the case in the Netherlands. Now, I think in that particular example that she just talked about, where she's in a restaurant, I think that situation might be a little different because that person is working. So they're trying to operate at a certain pace. They have a certain quota to meet. They're not really going to have the patience to sit there and try to teach you how to speak their native language because ultimately that's not their job. Now, when you make friends or when you have casual conversations, I think that's when you focus on speaking German so that you can actually learn it properly. And I think I have a bit of a cheat code because my girlfriend is Dutch. So at any given time throughout the day, I can just have a mini conversation with her in Dutch and work on my skills that way. But I definitely have heard that that is a big issue in the Netherlands as well. Granted, I'm not gonna lie, I rarely actually tried to speak Dutch to people. I don't even really speak to strangers to begin with. So rest assured that whenever I did, I tried to keep those interactions as short as possible, but I almost always would say at least one Dutch thing in the conversation. I would drop something just to kind of catch them off guard and to let them know that I'm actively trying to learn the language. At least somewhat, because some people, they go to these countries and they don't even give it a fair shot. And hey, if that's you, then no shade to you, but I feel like you are missing out on the opportunity to really broaden your horizons. But I do think that context really matters here. Context really, really matters.
For example, if you're in Spain, they would be like, oh yes, of course, go ahead, we can help you practice, go ahead. But in Germany, I feel like they just say, no, let's just speak in English. Now, whether this is because they want to be helpful, or they also want to practice their English, I just feel like it's not encouraged for foreigners to openly practice.
And you know what? She mentioned Spain right there. I noticed that in Spain, people didn't really speak, at least the part that I went to in Valencia, they didn't really speak good English if they spoke any English at all. A lot of the communications I had in Spain were done with hand gestures and body language. So I think that could be a big part of the reason why. If Germany's anything like the Netherlands, where most people are fluent in English, then of course they're just going to default to the path of least resistance when it comes to communication. But in Spain, they may not have that luxury because, again, they don't speak such good English.
German with natives. My personal experience learning German, I practiced with my friends or people that I knew. I would always speak to them in German and they would always reply in English because they wanted to practice their English. If you're a native German, please let me know your opinion on this. This has perplexed me ever since I came here and I started to learn German and had these sort of situations. And if you're learning German, please let me know what you think about this or if this situation has ever happened to you.
So another thing I think she could do, aside from assess the context of those social situations, is ultimately, if you're relying on other people to speak to you to learn how to understand the language, then you're missing out. Because I think one of the best ways to learn how to understand a language is to actually just consume media. Because when you watch Dutch YouTube videos, Dutch movies, or I guess in this case, German YouTube videos, German movies, read German books, things of that nature, it's at your discretion. You have the opportunity to pause, rewind, and listen to certain words again and really pick it apart so that you have a much better understanding. Of course, you still need that practice in the field, and again, that's where friends and casual conversations come into play. But when it comes to speaking, that's literally on you. If the waiter or waitress at that restaurant says that they want to speak English, that's fine, but that doesn't mean you have to. You don't have to speak English. You can just speak in German. They can speak in English. And you can have that exchange of practicing and sharpening those skills. But for me, the thing that has really helped me with learning Dutch, and I'm very far from fluent, by the way, but the thing that's helped me make a lot of progress in the past couple of months is watching Dutch movies, listening to Dutch music and reading the lyrics as I go, and just having those casual conversations where I have the luxury of messing up because we're not on a time crunch. On to the next video. I definitely get why he would have that kind of expectation about the Autobahn, because the videos that I've seen of the Autobahn, at least, have all been of supercars or performance cars driving on the portion of the Autobahn without a speed limit. But from what I have heard, that is just a portion of the Autobahn. To my point a few seconds ago, that's just a portion of the Autobahn, whereas most of it operates pretty much like a regular standard highway. But I'm saying this to say that whether you have a speed limit or not, I still think the Autobahn is categorically better. And I'm saying this without having actually driven on it, so I still need to try it myself. But just from the outside looking in, it seems like a categorically better driving experience than anything the US has to offer.